Listen closely. This message is not ordinary motivation. It's a transmission of power, a reminder of the law that silently governs all creation. Listen carefully because what I'm about to tell you isn't common advice. It's a key. If you hold this key for just 2 minutes, something will begin to shift in your life in a way that the logical mind cannot explain. Money will appear as if from nowhere. But make no mistake, this isn't about tricks, cheap magic, or stage illusions. I'm talking about the oldest, firmest, and most relentless law there is. Everything you see in the external world is merely a reflection of what you hold within yourself. The world out there is like a delayed mirror. It creates nothing. It merely returns the image you silently project. Your bank account, your debts, your limitations, all of these are just the echo of past states you accepted and nurtured. But just as a shadow changes when you shift the light's position, your entire reality begins to change when you dare to alter the state you inhabit within. The mistake most people make is to beg for external signs, to wait for something to happen first before they believe. That is the prison of illusion. If you wish to see money flow, you cannot kneel before appearances. You must assume, even without proof, that you are already supplied, already rich, already abundant. Because the law doesn't respond to what you ask for in desperation, but to what you accept with conviction. That's why I tell you there's no need for more years of blind effort, of directionless striving. 2 minutes of focused awareness, of firmly sustained imagination, can move more wealth into your life than decades of struggle. It's not sweat that opens doors, but the state you carry in the silence of your heart. And if you dare to apply what I'm about to reveal, your financial reality will be forced to bend before the new state you decide to assume. Nothing you see outside happens by chance. Every detail of your financial life, every opportunity that has come to you, every difficulty that still seems to persist, all of this has an invisible root. This root isn't in the market, it isn't in the economy, it isn't in the salary you receive, nor in the government that governs the country. The root is within you. The inner state you assume, consciously or unconsciously, is the true creator of everything that appears on the stage of your existence. The mistake almost everyone makes is to think that things happen in the world first, and then they feel a certain way. They wait for money to arrive to then feel prosperous. They wait for the bill to be paid to then feel relieved. They wait for a door to open to then feel confident. But this order is the great trap. If you wait for the external to change before you change internally, you will spend your entire life stuck in the same cycle because the reflection never moves before the image. Imagine a mirror. You stand before it and raise your right hand. The reflection obeys. Now try asking the reflection to raise its hand first so that you can then raise yours. No matter how long you wait, this will never happen. The external world works exactly like this. It is the mirror of what you assume to be true within yourself. If you insist on looking at lack and convincing yourself that you are poor, limited, that you cannot succeed, the reflection has no choice but to confirm this image. But if, even in the face of all contrary appearances, you dare to silently affirm, I am abundance, I am wealth, I am supplied, then the reflection must bow before this new identity. It is at this point that many fail because they still believe that reality has power over them. They look at their empty pockets and say, how can I believe I am prosperous if I have nothing? But it is precisely there that the law demands courage. It's not when things are easy that you prove who you are, but when everything seems to deny what you've decided to assume. True faith doesn't wait for proof. Faith creates the proof. You might be in a simple room with nothing of value around, but if within yourself you begin to move as someone who possesses, if you start to carry the demeanor, the feeling, and the confidence of a rich person, this state will become the invisible root that will attract the appropriate conditions to you. This isn't about pretending or deceiving yourself. Pretending is superficial and quickly breaks down in the face of difficulties. It's about inhabiting a state so deeply that the world has no option but to obey. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need to tell others what you're doing. You don't need to justify yourself. Everything happens in silence within. It's like planting a seed. You don't need to show everyone that you put the seed in the soil. Just water it, nourish it, and wait for harvest time. The inner state works exactly like this. Therefore, if today you want to see money appear as if from nowhere, start by changing the image you hold in your heart. Close your eyes and see yourself as someone who already possesses. It doesn't matter what your bank statement says. It doesn't matter what your debt is. It doesn't matter what appearances suggest. What matters is what you now accept as true. If you accept lack, lack will continue. If you accept abundance, abundance will begin to move. It is inevitable. The reflection cannot resist the image you project with conviction. I tell you firmly, the world does not have the power to decide your life. It merely obeys. And if until today you have lived in scarcity, know that this was not punishment but a consequence of states you accepted without realizing it. Now that you know, the choice is in your hands. Continue accepting what you see, and you will repeat the past, or dare to assume within yourself what you wish to see, and you will make the future bow. Everything begins in the invisible. Everything is born within. The inner state is the cause, and the world merely the effect. And when you understand this deeply, you will discover that you will never again need to chase money, because it will come to you as a shadow follows the body of one who has decided to walk in the light. 2 minutes of disciplined imagination have more power than years of unconscious effort. Most people spend their entire lives wearing themselves out, running from one place to another, believing that only through sweat and struggle can something change. They work endless hours, sacrifice body and mind, but remain trapped in the same cycle of limitations because they never understood that the true key isn't in what they do, but in the state they place themselves in. It's like rowing against the current. The more force they apply, the more exhausted they become, yet they remain almost in the same place. What they don't realize is that simply changing their inner direction would cause the current itself to start working in their favor. When you dedicate 2 minutes of full attention, 2 minutes of conscious imagination, something moves in dimensions that eyes cannot see. These 2 minutes have the capacity to reprogram your consciousness more deeply than years of physical effort, because everything you see out there is merely a consequence, while imagination is the cause itself. It is in this brief instant of concentration that you plant the seed that will inevitably sprout in the field of life. Try it now. Close your eyes and don't just think about money, but feel it as if it's already in your hands. See yourself paying your bills with ease, buying without fear, helping those in need. Mentally, hear the rustle of banknotes, the click of a pen signing a check, the sound of a cash register drawer opening. Allow these scenes to be so vivid that you almost come to believe they have already happened. If you sustain this experience for just 2 minutes, without doubt, without distraction, the external world will begin to organize itself so that this becomes real. The common mistake is to believe that imagination is a waste of time while physical action is what solves problems. But the truth is that every action first originates from an inner image. If you change the image, you change the quality of your actions. You change the opportunities that arise. You even change the people who cross your path. 2 minutes of focused imagination change the vibration of your being, and this change inevitably attracts new circumstances. Remember, it's not necessary to spend hours in deep meditation or complicated rituals. The law does not demand this. 2 minutes of real concentration done with feeling are worth more than entire days of distraction. And when these 2 minutes become part of your routine, life begins to yield. God's like turning a key in a lock. It's not the force with which you push the door that matters, but the simple act of turning the right key. These 2 minutes are the key. Therefore, do not underestimate the power of a little time invested in what is essential. In just 2 minutes, you can set in motion invisible forces that will radically transform your financial life. While the world rushes in desperation, you, in silence, can achieve what seems impossible. The secret is not in running faster, but in learning to stop, close your eyes, and command reality from the invisible source. What you create in 2 minutes of conviction becomes more solid and inevitable than years of unconscious effort. When you look at the visible world and see accumulated bills, seemingly endless debts, opportunities that don't appear, and doors that close, what you're really seeing isn't reality itself, but merely the reflection of old states you accepted. The world creates nothing, it merely reflects. It has no life of its own, no independent power. It is like a delayed mirror that returns the image you project internally, but always with a slight delay. What you experience today is merely the result of what you assumed yesterday, what you sustained over the past days, months, or years. That is why fighting against circumstances is useless. If you get angry about debts, despair in the face of scarcity, or surrender to fear because you see no way out, you are merely reinforcing the image that feeds the reflection. The more energy you give to the problem, the more you crystallize that inner state, and the more the world needs to confirm what you've accepted as truth. The solution is never to fight with the reflection, but to change the image. You don't break a mirror trying to erase the shadow. You change your form before the light. Everything that appears before you is like the harvest of an invisible sowing. It's no use complaining about what has sprouted, nor forcibly tearing off the fruit. The only way is to plant new seeds and wait the natural time for them to manifest. And the seeds are the states you assume. If you plant poverty by declaring yourself lacking, by feeling limited, by mentally repeating, "I can't," don't expect to harvest wealth. But if you begin to plant, even in silence, internal affirmations like, "I am supplied, I am abundance, I am prosperity," this new seed will begin to manifest even if circumstances say otherwise. It is here that many fail because they believe the visible world is the cause. They see a negative bank statement and say, "My life is like this because my balance is in the red." They don't realize it's the opposite. The balance is in the red because they accepted the state of lack beforehand. The world merely obeyed. It's like a shadow cast on the ground. If you want the shadow to move, it's no use pushing it with your hands. You must move your body, and then the shadow, without resistance, will change too. This is the law. The world has no power of its own. It merely reflects your inner identity. If you change from within, the reflection changes inevitably. The problem is that most people try to reverse the order, desperately rushing to force circumstances to change first, and get frustrated when nothing happens. They don't realize they're just fighting with a mirror. It's like asking the reflection to smile before you do. The reflection has no initiative. It can only return what is shown to it. Therefore, when you look outside and don't like what you see, don't despair. Remember that it is not a sentence. It is not definitive. It is not destiny. It is merely a delayed reflection. If you wish to change tomorrow, begin now to assume within yourself the state of what you wish to experience. Sustain it, even if nothing outside confirms it. The reflection may take a little time, but it will come. And when it comes, it will seem as if money appeared out of nowhere, that opportunity fell from the sky, that a miracle happened suddenly. But it wasn't sudden. It was simply the inevitable response of the image you silently projected. Persistence is the most difficult part, and at the same time the most decisive, because it's not enough to start. It's not enough to imagine once and then give up when the world insists on showing the opposite. The true power lies in persisting. It's easy to get excited for a few minutes, to feel rich amidst a visualization. But when the bill is due, when the collector knocks on the door, when reality screams in your face, many immediately abandon the assumed state and return to despair. It is at that instant that most lose the harvest. Doubt is the greatest thief of manifestation. It arrives disguised as logic, whispering that you are deceiving yourself, that it makes no sense to imagine prosperity with empty pockets, that you are wasting time. But doubt is nothing more than a test, a shadow cast to see if you truly believe in what you have assumed. If you yield, if you abandon the state, everything regresses. But if you persist, if you continue to carry the feeling of wealth even when the external denies it, then the invisible bows. The courage to persist is not passive. It's not lifeless waiting. It is an active stance. It is repeating at every moment, "It is already mine. I am already supplied. I am already abundant." It is walking with confidence even if you don't see the complete path. It is sustaining within yourself the certainty that the reflection will inevitably change because the reflection has no will of its own. It cannot resist the image you insist on maintaining. Imagine a farmer who plants a seed and the next day digs up the soil to check if it has sprouted. If he does this every day, he will never see the harvest. The secret lies in planting, watering, and waiting with patience. It is the same with the inner state. If you abandon it every time you look outside, you will never harvest anything. But if you remain firm, even without proof, time will take care of manifesting the invisible. That is why courage is necessary. No strength is needed to begin. Anyone can imagine for a few minutes. But courage is needed to keep believing when appearances try to steal your faith. Courage is needed to smile when seeing a negative balance and still declare within yourself, "I am abundance." Courage is needed to look at difficulty and say, "This is merely an old reflection, and I have already assumed the new." This courage is what separates those who speak of the law from those who truly live it. Those who persist discover that reality is malleable, that sooner or later it yields to the pressure of the assumed state. It is like a river that insists on flowing. It can be dammed, it can be slowed, but it can never be stopped. The state you sustain eventually overflows, and the world, unable to resist, is forced to obey. Therefore, if you wish to see money appear as if from nowhere, don't just start, persist. Hold firm to the identity of one who already possesses, even if no one believes, even if nothing confirms it, even if everything seems contrary, because the law does not fail, and the world has no choice but to reflect what you insist on being. Persistence is the key that transforms possibility into certainty, and certainty into visible fact. Now that you have heard, you can no longer pretend you don't know. The external world is not the master of your life. It is merely the servant. It obeys the state you silently sustain, and nothing can resist that. You have spent too much time begging for signs, waiting for miracles from outside, believing that change would come by chance or by someone's kindness. But today you understand, the miracle isn't out there. The miracle is you. Assume now, firmly, the state of one who already possesses. Don't wait for proof. Don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait for the reflection to smile. First, you smile. Declare in silence, "I am wealth. I am abundance. I am supplied." Sustain this internally like someone holding a flame that nothing can extinguish. 2 minutes of true conviction can open doors that once seemed locked, can dissolve debts, can attract opportunities you never imagined. Ask no more. Plead no more. Lament no more. Command in silence and certainty like one who knows they own their own inheritance. The world does not resist one who has discovered their identity. And when you stop chasing, when you stop begging, when you dare to assume, then you will see. Money will appear as if from nowhere. But you will know it wasn't from nowhere. It was from your inner decision. It was from the law obeying the image you sustained. Therefore, go and apply it now, not tomorrow, not when it's convenient.